A force in her toiled since earth was made. Since earth was made. The divine force is there in her. Savitri has been there. The mother has very explicitly stated, since the beginning of the earth, whenever and wherever there was a possibility of the ray of manifestation, I was present. Since the beginning of the earth, since earth was made. Now, of course, earth was made. We have already seen in the very first canto itself the hint of that. Earth was made. Savitri is seeing three disputants born of inconscience. Savitri is saying three disputants born of inconscience. Three disputants: earth, doom, love. Three ancient disputants: earth, doom, and love. Three ancient disputants, you see. Now, it is at that point earth was made. Earth was created as a specific center for focusing the aspects of manifestation in a desperate manner, you see. A force in her that toiled since earth was made, accomplishing in life the great world plan. Now that force, that is what it has been doing all along. World plan, it is working out that thing. Pursuing after death, immortal aim. Yes, that is what the force has been working all along, pursuing after death. Whether you are here or not, you are pursuing, you are chasing, you are following, you are insisting that those things do happen here. What? Those immortal aim. Immortal aim, light, power, beauty, joy, happiness, sweetness, harmony, all those things which are the immortal things, they have to come into manifestation, and they are being pursued whether you are in death or without death. They have to come here, you see. Actually, normally, in the case of we beings, these great things do not happen in our case after death. Our progress completely stops after death. No addition is made. Whatever you have gained in life here, that is your property, that is your merit, that is your punya, that you hold on, that is your good, that you hold on. But after death, you can't add to that. You don't, you cannot. Because the working ground here is on earth, not elsewhere. The working ground here is on earth, you see. So all that has to happen only on earth. So normally in all our cases, after death, there is no progress at all. What happens after death? We assimilate all the experiences of our past birth, gather it up together, and depending upon our assimilation of those things, we decide to take a new birth for further progress. We come back here for further progress, you see. We come here again for further progress. Now, that is what happens normally. But here, in the case of persons like Savitri and all that, death or life, they are not bound by that. Their work continues. Their work continues. Shavindu has withdrawn. It does not mean that his work has stopped. Krishna was a figure of long history. It does not mean that his work has stopped. The work continues, goes on in their own manner, you see. Their work continues there, you see. Because they are not people who die. They change the station. They change their position. There is no question of death for them. They change their position. Mother's work goes on. And mother says, after his withdrawal, Shavindu's work has become so active, so dynamic, that in a short time he could do so many things which he could not do otherwise here in the physical. Pursuing after death immortal ends. Now, pursuing after death, no, yes.
Can you repeat? Immortal aims.
Pardon me?
What kind of immortal aims?
What kind of immortal aims?
Joy,
Everything.
harmony,
Happy, harmony, joy, bliss, power, light, the sweetness, the truth. Those have to come into our expression. Beauty, truth, delight. They have to come into our expression, you see. The multiplicity of a new creation in the possibilities of the spirit that goes and grows and grows, you see. It does not remain static, you see. Pursuing after death immortal aim. Now, from the point of view of English, there is a little different aspect also. Pursuing after death immortal aims. In other words, she is pursuing immortal aims after death. Now, it could also be that she is pursuing after death, chasing death. She is chasing death, pursuing death. She is after death, pursuing death, chasing death. For what? For immortal aims. For immortal aims. So, that may be a little far-fetched, you see. Still, it is possible. Still, it is possible to think that way. Refuse to admit frustration's barren role, because it is a seed cast by the superhuman, because she is inept, etc., etc. She will repute, push aside, refuse to admit frustration's barren rule. Very beautiful line. Repute to admit frustration's barren. This word repute is a very unusual word. Refused, common thing. The closest form of that thing, repugnant, pushing aside, you see. Repute. To admit frustration's barren role. Now, how do you scan it? Repute, that is an am, to admit, to admit, and a paste. Sorry, to add, I am with frustrations, and a paste, barren, I am, role, I am. That is how you scan it, you see. Refuse to admit frustrations, barren role, forfeit the meaning of her birth in time. Yes, she is not going to forfeit the meaning of her birth in time. She has taken birth in time for a purpose, and she has to fulfill that purpose. Obey the government to the casual fact, or yield her high destiny up to passing chance. In her own self, she found her high recourse. In spite of all these things, where does she get strength from? From within herself. From within herself. In her own self, she found her high recourse. In spite of all these things, she is going to get all the nourishment detail. She matched with the iron law, a sovereign right, iron law, the fixed law of nature here, the law of death here, the law of ignorance and fate here. That law, iron law, of course, stands here for law of death. One shall descend and change the iron law. That is the boon Savitri had received. One shall descend and change the iron law. A single will oppose the cosmic rule, all the cosmic forces, universal powers which are there, she is able to stand against them. A single will, because it is something which is coming from a very high soul. Superhuman cause is seen in her. That force is there. A force has been working in her since the beginning of the earth, and that work is there. To stay the wheels of doom, this greatness rose. Greatness, of course, stands here obviously for Savitri, but she is saying greatness. Why? Because she is going to stand against all that will be opposing the cosmic rule. To fight out the cosmic rule, to beat the iron law, you have to be really great. You have to be really mighty. Your will has to be very strong and powerful. And therefore, this greatness. See how aptly the nouns are selected. She is this greatness because she has to oppose the cosmic rule. She has to fight, match the iron law, you see. To stay the wheels of doom, this Kala Chakra, wheel of doom, the cycles of birth and death which continue to go on, that is the wheel, cycles of birth and to stay them at the unseen knock upon the hidden gates. Her strength made greater by the lightning's touch, awoke from slumber in her heart's recess. Unseen knock, her strength, where from did it come? Yes, she has to meet doom, she has to face the cosmic rule, she has to match against the iron law. Where is that strength coming from? Greater from the lightning star, awoke from slumber in her heart's recess, in her slumber, in her heart's recess. That strength had been always with her, but it was a slumbering strength. Actually, in the first canto we had, Savitri lay for a long time in her original somnolence. For a long period of time she lay in her original somnolence. She has been here right from the beginning, but in a somnolent state. Original somnolence itself was the earth. Now it is out of that, her strength made greater by the lightning's touch. What is the lightning's touch? That has awoken her, Savitri. Brought her to this kind of an alertness that now she has to do some work. What is that lightning's touch? That lightning's touch is the death of Satyavan, of her lover. She has now to see anything, everything in that context. And the strength suddenly sprang up from within her, you see. It was there all along, right from the beginning in her, but she lay in the state of original somnolence, and from slumber in her heart's recesses. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. You see? That is the monosyllabic line, you see. Perfectly Arabic. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. See, monosyllabic stress is there everywhere, and what a powerful description, which kills and saves. What is that it? Who bore that stroke? Strength. Strength. Her strength bore that, you see. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. Now, which kills all that comes in the way of your work, it is that which is destroyed. It is that which is destroyed. And when that is destroyed, then it brings the grace of saving. The grace is saved. When that is destroyed, then really there is the grace, there is the safety of everything, there is the progress possible from that. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. That T is capital T here, you see. It is stroke of that, the supreme stroke. In other words, that blow Savitri is receiving from that. Savitri is receiving that blow from that. Who is giving that blow to Savitri? The Supreme Himself. The Supreme Himself. What is that blow? That blow is Savitri. Tomorrow your husband is going to die. That is the blow. And suddenly she wakes up from her slumber, she does yoga, gathers the yogic force in her soul and gets ready. So it has killed what was until now coming as an opposition in her and saved by bringing down that force in her soul itself, you see. Awoke from slumber in her heart's rhythm. It bore the stroke of that which kills and saves.